Hey guys, I'm not sure how many people are on here at this particular point, but just wanted to get ready for the program and help anybody else out there that has any questions as well. Feel free to email me at pascalbolana@elitegoalies.com. We'll wait a few more minutes here and then I'll get started. I've seen a few more people added to the program here, so I'm going to get started very shortly here. I'll just wait for the 12 o'clock to hit, and then we'll start talking a little bit about the program. How you doing, guys? All right. So first and foremost, we're going to be starting off on a little bit about game planning. The reason why I wanted to do this was because a lot of goaltenders and a lot of hockey players right now are kind of bunkered down in their homes, and they don't really get the opportunity to work on some of their tactics and skills. I know that there's a lot of goalies out there that really wanted the opportunity to try out for hockey teams or maybe play some spring programs, and it's a tough go right now. There's a lot of uncertainty, and certainly the peak of the COVID-19 hasn't quite hit yet in North America, which they say within 2 to 3 weeks it'll hit that area. And it's tough. Sometimes you're at home and you got to stay positive and you got to continue to strive forward. And what I wanted to do, as far as Elite Goalies is concerned, is to provide goaltenders out there with a free opportunity to learn, and maybe I can provide some way to give back and help a goaltender that I may know or may not know throughout this entire program. Or maybe there's a goaltending coach out there that likes some of the ideas that we've talked about and has made it a part of their program as well. So I want to certainly congratulate other goaltending coaches as well for working and finding different ways to impact their people in a positive way. So first and foremost, what I'm going to talk about is game plan. And certainly you don't need to go out and buy this book. I really want to share the information with you and kind of go over the information with you guys to be able to share. The reason why I created that book in conjunction with goaltending coaches that I work with is because I wanted to make it really easy for goalies to track what they did on a regular basis, to find out what they did well, what maybe didn't work so well during a hockey season, take a skill set inventory on what they're really, really good at. Like, are they good at catching pucks? Are they good at spraying the glass with their stick? Are they good at a variety of different things when it comes to skill sets? And what are they not quite good at yet? And that makes a huge, huge impact in your game if you can be really honest with yourself. So the first thing that we needed to do is recognize the fact that, yeah, we're isolated and we're at home. As you can see, I'm at home as well. And this is one way to train goaltenders. And the basic element of this is to be very forthright about what we're doing here. And the first thing we need to do is recognize the fact that we're at home. We have the opportunity to think about what we need to do and take action on it. So to give you a couple of ideas, one of the things that I've committed to is obviously reading. Second one is meditation. And the third thing is fitness. I've got a Peloton and been working on that. I've lost about 11 pounds and my cardiovascular fitness has improved quite drastically, and had the opportunity to work on things that I really normally would not get the opportunity to work on. So I wanted to make sure that is happening in my life. So hopefully we'll get the opportunity to do the same thing with you guys, find ways to become really effective. So first and foremost, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the overall aspect of why you need to develop a game plan. So first things first is you are your own enterprise. You're your own goaltender. No one's going to care about your goaltending more than you care about your goaltending. So the first thing you need to do is kind of look at what worked last year. What was really successful about your last season? And what are some things that you can attribute to what you did as far as training last summer, or whether it was a mindset that you had, or whether you set some goals for yourself? What was it that really, really worked well for you? And maybe take an opportunity to write that on a piece of paper right now. Was it your fitness? Was it your mental training? Did you spend some time reading a book that allowed you to become that much sharper in your game? were there other elements? Did you have a good support system? Did your parents help you out with your program? Or if you're a pro goaltender, did you really tune into exactly what it is that you really wanted to do this season? And then take a look at, what didn't work so well. What were some things that you went, oh, if I only would have concentrated a little bit more in this particular area, what would have been different for me? What would have done? What would have been an impact for me in a negative way that I could have changed if I would have focused on what I needed to do? So that could have been fitness. I mean, this is the opportunity now between March and August to upgrade yourself as an athlete. So what are you doing right now that's going to help you improve your cardiovascular fitness, or maybe help you lose a little bit of body fat and increase lean muscle tissue? What about your diet that's going to fuel the Ferrari, if you will? Like, are you eating really well? Are you learning a little bit about your nutrition? Are you learning about food allergies? Or are you hydrating? One of the main key elements of nutrition was the fact that there's a lot of athletes out there that don't even realize that hydration is so important, that if you're not hydrated, it can affect your performance level by 10%. And imagine being in goal, facing 10 shots and allowing one just simply because you weren't hydrated. And those are simple little things that we can do that'll make a big, big difference. So those are some key elements. So your physical body, your nutrition that you're fueling your body with, and then of course some of your technical and tactical plays. So as I go through this this booklet, I'm just going to kind of go through different pieces of it. But one of the things that I have on here is establishing a contract with yourself. So knowing that you're going to make a commitment to yourself, that you're going to follow through. And I mean, after all, that's what you want to do as a female or a male athlete. You want to sign a contract, whether it's with your national team or whether it's with an NCAA team or U Sport team, or whether it's with a rep hockey team or a National Hockey League team. The main thing is that you want to sign a contract. And one of the ways to do that would be to sign a contract with yourself. That's the first contract you're gonna sign. So your physical part of it, your physical fitness, your mental fitness, your school. How are you performing in school? Because that will either open or close a door within your scholastics, within hockey as well, if you go to the NCAA or U Sport. Your family and your social life, who you hang out with most of the time, is going to determine what kind of player and person that you're going to be. So it's really important to surround yourself with really good people that'll allow you to move on and make the connections that you need to play at the highest levels of hockey. The other aspect here is you start getting into goals. What is it that you want to achieve at the end of the season? So if you're wanting to achieve at the end of this season, going, I really want to make the next hockey club. So it's a junior hockey club, or whether it's a college hockey club, or whatever that hockey club is that you want to make next. What are you doing right now that's going to allow you to make the biggest impact and allow you to achieve those goals? So start with the end in mind. Think about reverse engineering your goals. Okay, I've made the team. Then move back from that. Why did I make the team? I was physically ready. I was mentally ready. I was emotionally ready. And I was technically and tactically ready. Okay, well, if that's the case, what did I do to achieve those pieces? What did I do to achieve those elements? Did I work with my goaltending coach to refine some of my skills? Did I work when no one else was looking? Did I work on my fitness and my other goals? And those are key critical pieces that you need to work on a regular basis, day in and day out, to become the best athlete you possibly can. Moving back from that is, did you divide your defensive zone up into effective pieces? So for example, did you make it harder for goal scorers to score on you simply because you had a plan for each of the different areas in the ice zones? So those play a huge, huge role. So here's a couple of examples of what you can do here as well, is that, you can work on goals such as, you want to work on becoming the best teammate that you possibly can be, or you want to be someone that's going to be, facing some of the top shooters and be the starting goaltender on your team versus the capable starter. So those become key critical components all the way through. I'm going to jump ahead here, and I'm going to share a couple of different things that I think are really important whenever you're dissecting your elements. So for example, when we're talking about some of your zone work, and we're talking about, for example, box control and puck trajectory, do we actually see the zones that take place on a consistent basis from where the puck is actually shot from, and what the puck actually has to travel through in order to get to the net that's behind you? Those key pieces are incredibly important, knowing that you control the entranceway to the net. You're the most important person that understands the entranceway. And one of the reasons why is your head is in line with the crossbar. Your hands represent the upper portions of the net, so anything above 11, 12 inches. And then, of course, anything that's down along the ice, we want to seal the ice so that we can control the game. So those are key elements that we want to kind of have in our mind when we're training, and knowing that we're going to be, protecting those particular areas. If you look at, an area of distance, knowing how far the puck can be in your defensive zone and knowing how high that puck can travel, so that you have the ability to best protect the net, plays a key critical role in your ability to defend the net. So it's really, really important as you start to go through this to become one of those types of goaltenders that are very, very smart and doing what most people aren't willing to do to get the most game. When you look at game planning and zone charting, this looks like a little bit of a battlefield here. But when you start looking at what happens when players come in on zone entry, are they coming in on the board side, or are they coming down through the middle? Where do you stand? How can you divide the ice surfaces up in areas where you can protect the net the most with little movement? And minimizing your movement plays a massive role in this, because you want to be able to stand inside that box and be able to control what you do in and out of the net. So taking a look at the zone planning or zone mapping, you can take a look at that. Feel free I'll keep it up for a bit so that you can, create it on your own map, or you can write it out yourself, because I don't want to hold anything back from you. But taking a look at a sample battlefield as a timing mechanism. So on zone entry, they can go on the left or right side of the dots, up through the middle, and you have the ability, anytime the puck is out in these areas here, that area is called control. So by having that area in control, you're expected yourself to control the puck. Not only that, but your coaches expect you to control it. Let's face it, every time you have a puck that comes in on goal and you make the save and it goes off to the corner, you're contributing to your team's ability to get out of the zone. And that's very, very important for you to get the nod from your head coach, because most head coaches, when they plan for defensive breakouts and things like that, it's really important for you to cater to what they want to happen. So by having that level of control and setting your defenseman up for success, your coaches tend to give you the nod over another goaltender that may make an erratic save or a save that's less controlled rebound-wise, and put you in a bad position. So it's really important for you guys to understand those pieces of the game. The first thing I wanted to talk about was understanding the game within the frame. And when you've got a 6x4 net, it's very important for you to recognize the fact that the closer that you move towards the puck, the smaller the net's going to become. And that's really critical when you're playing in the game of hockey. So obviously the net's a lot smaller, or the entranceway is a lot smaller in front of you. So having that ability to have your hands in good position, to have your stick in the mid position, and have your feet recognize both sides of the net plays a key critical role for you to be able to stop the puck. Keeping in mind that as you're in your stance, the only thing you really need to get to is you need to get to the areas that you don't cover. You don't need to move erratically through the crease to be able to protect the net. You just need to be able to get to the areas that you don't originally cover. So if you stand in net, you're usually going to get hit, with pucks below the glove or above the glove, through the 5-hole or just above both pads. You just need to be able to get to those areas really quickly and effectively. And that's going to give you the best chances to stop the puck on a consistent basis. The second thing that you need to do is make sure that you have the ability to move effectively. So if you have the ability to move from left to right, forward, backwards in your stance, that's going to allow you to become the most effective that you possibly can be. One of the things that we would recommend that you do is really master the 4 different skating tactics right off the hop. So if you can master your shuffles and your T-pushes, those become really important. But you also got to master your pivots and your C-cuts, because when you use your pivots, you're able to keep your toe caps up the ice all the time. And by keeping your toe caps pointed towards the puck, then you won't open up and allow goals through your legs or past your body like most goaltenders will end up doing. So that becomes really, really important. So when we start talking about mapping and zone mapping throughout your booklet, it's really important for you to spend some time focusing in on your energy of making sure that you're moving to the areas that you don't cover. That's what's going to give you the most gain. Okay. So one of those things is that when you're looking at the puck, the tracking portion is keeping your eyes in the center of your mask, okay, and keeping them in the center of your eye sockets. That's when your eyes are the most relaxed. And the more you turn or the more you lift up or lift down, you have the ability to kind of make yourself a little bit more blurry. So through tracking, you want to make sure that your eyes are in the center of your socket, they're completely relaxed, and you have maximal, maximized attention on that as much as you possibly can. Secondly, your head represents the crossbar. So it's really important for you to recognize that when you're moving in the net and you're moving from side to side, left and right, that your head represents that crossbar. So anything that's below your eyes, you're going to have to react to. Anything that's at your hands or inside, you're going to have to react to as well. Anything that's between your legs or above your skates, you're going to have to react to. So by having that type of vision, tracking down on the puck will not only give you sight, but it'll also give you access to the puck. So those become really, really, really important. I'm giving you a brief overview of the entire process here. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time, and I'll come back again and we'll do another meeting to go over each intricate detail so that you guys can learn and consistently add to whatever you're learning from your current goaltending coach or whether you're learning from elite goalies or any other organization. But having the ability to set up your stance where you're on the balls of your feet, having your hands in good position, which is usually about 36 or 37 inches off the ice, and using the edge of the crease becomes really important, because if you use the edge of the crease, that's something that you can quantify, you can measure. It's 6 feet away from the goal line. Your hands are going to be at that particular area, and that represents the top of the net. Your head represents the crossbar, your hands represent the top of the opening of the net, and then your feet represent both corners of the post. So that becomes really, really important, okay? Layering your crease becomes really important as well. So if you're on the goal line, that's 0. If you move up to the top of your crease, that's 100%. So then you move back in your crease a bit, and that becomes 75, and then the middle of your crease becomes 50%, and then a quarter of your crease becomes 25. So think of 0, 25, 50, 75, 100, and 125% of your crease. Learning how to use your stance in each of those areas and understanding what you have the ability to cover plays a key critical role in that process. Okay, so we're going to start off by just talking about being at 100% of your crease with your hands right at the edge of the crossbar, right at the edge of your crease at 37 inches. Every shot that's about 25 feet away is not going to be able to just get past you to the top corners because your hands are directly in the pathway of the trajectory. So think of the trajectory as kind of like an angle. If you're shooting the puck from here and back here is the crossbar, if your hands are somewhere in these areas, right in this particular area, when that shot comes, you're going to be able to stop the puck. As we start going through this game planning process, over the next couple of sessions, we're going to be using videos so that you have the ability to see, what's working, what are specific examples of what we can do that'll make a big difference as well. But as you go through your stance and you have the ability to go through kind of a game planning document, such as this one here, you have the ability to understand that when a player comes down into this area here, which we call zone 2, or this area here, which we call zone 1, the reason why we call them zones like that is with zone 1 here, it only takes one goaltender to protect the entire net space opening. In here, it takes 2 goaltenders to cover that net space opening on the goal line. Here, it takes 3, then 2, then 1. So by understanding how to break down your defensive zone, you have the ability to play a pretty impactful role and not having to over move, which you see a lot of goaltenders do. And one of the things that I'm seeing a lot of in watching a variety of leagues, especially junior A and major junior hockey, that goaltenders are moving a lot more than they really need to. And if you take the time to establish your set position, you got to stop 4 major things. And that's number 1, you've got to stop yourself from moving. Number 2, in locking a person into a zone, you essentially lock them in. They stop moving, the puck stops moving, and the net stops moving. Those 4 pieces, you, the net, the puck, and the player, if they stop moving, it becomes incredibly, incredibly easy to be able to play that player. All you have to do is focus on the areas that you don't actually cover. And in zone 1, because it takes one goaltender to cover that area, You block the entire net space, you barely have to move. You just have to be patient, track the puck, and know what you want to do with that puck, once you stop it. Number 2, in zone 2, you're going to be able to divide the zone up into 2 pieces, the left side of your body and the right side of your body. So it becomes really, really important that if the puck's coming at you, why move? Get down into position, block the puck, and make sure you're controlling the rebound. If the puck comes to the left side of your body and the left side of your body happens to contribute to putting pucks into the slot, what's the common sense thing that you need to do? And that would be to direct it, elevate it away from that center area. You don't want to be putting pucks out into the populated areas ever. It's the same thing again with your blocker. Do you want to use your stick, and knock it off the glass into the other side? And when it's shot on your blocker side on the ice, do you want to use your pad and pop it into the corner so the puck is always in front of you? It's easily predictable by your defenseman, and it's easy to get back out into your zone. So those things become really, really important as you continue on with the rest of the play. So once again, in looking at the areas here, you can see that this is 3 areas because there's 3 entrance ways, 1, 2, and 3. This is zone 2, as the net space is about 2 goalies as far as width apart. And this is zone 1 because it only takes 1 goalie's width to be able to block the entrance way to the net. As you see here, the zone 3 will start off at the far side post and come right through to the far blue line. And the same thing will happen on this side and come right through the far post here. And that'll help you lock into those particular zones. When you really start taking that opportunity to look and see what happens as they're coming into the zone, you can identify what lane they're going to be taking. They're either going to take the inside lane or the outside lane as they start to go through. So it really becomes important to recognize the threat. When they come across that line, recognizing what hand they are becomes important, because that means they're either A, going to open up, or B, they're going to send a backhand pass, which is a little bit less accurate sometimes and a little tougher to make through bodies. So that becomes really important. Coming down into zone 2, you have the player come down into this area, rush into here. One of the areas when you talk from the blue line down to the corner is anything shot from this area has a potential to be stopped and put out into the main area here. We want to make sure that we're going to use anything that comes out into these areas here shot, that we're elevating or spraying the glass and getting rid of the puck away from that center area. And you can see that area right in here is that's boxed out. And that particular area is called action, reaction, and block. But we can get into a lot of those different areas as we start to go through this little program. And certainly, leave a comment or email me at pascalvillana@elitegoalies.com. And I'd be happy to go over anything with you. And I'll organize these in a way where we can spend time together, while we're kind of in our homes and our internal arenas here, if you will. We'll have the opportunity to talk about a variety of those pieces. So starting right out, number 1 is identify this week. After this session, I'd like you to identify what really worked for you this season. That's really important. What worked and why did it work? Did you put the time in? Did you put the energy in? Was it your confidence? What was it? Because knowing that you did the work is where you're going to drive the confidence from. Number 2, what didn't work? What wasn't as effective for me that could have been effective? And that's number 1. You want to make sure that is it your goals against? Is it the fact that you weren't a good teammate? Was it the fact that you weren't consistent enough? Things like that. So that becomes really important. Once you've done that, it's establishing what you want to accomplish over the course of the summer. What's going to make you a better goaltender all the way through? And I think that number 1, it's preparing physically, mentally, emotionally, and of course nutritionally to be able to become the most effective that you possibly can. Those become critical. And of course, are you spending time on the ice and becoming one of those types of goaltenders that are going to be really relied upon skill-wise? So what I'd recommend that you do is capitalize on the time that you have away from doing your regular activities. Internalize this week on what worked, what didn't work, just like I talked about, and try to understand what is it that you want to accomplish as we start going through. And then what we'll do is we'll set up a time frame for you guys to reconvene with me again and go through it. But I look forward to your comments. We'll add some additional things for you as time goes on, and I look forward to it. So stay tuned. I'll tweet out my next 30-minute session. Talk to you soon, guys. Thanks for joining me. It was good, Mom, but